Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're gonna talk about Jaron Ennis being locked in on the Vergil Ortiz fight. If it's possible, what's the likelihood of it actually being next? And Jaron Ennis himself sending shots into the 154-pound division after his first round knockout over Lima. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building thus far. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. We officially hit that 3,200 mark last night, man. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming through and making this possible. We on the road to 4K, and we're gonna hit that 3,300 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation in the mob for making this possible once again. If I didn't say that already, Yasir Ali is in the building. What up? I'm sorry for coming on late, y'all. I was on Claymore Rain chat, chopping it up with Blue Blood and Claymore Rain himself. Great dialogue, great conversation, just speaking about Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz and all that good stuff, man. You know what I mean? If y'all didn't see it, please go check it out over there, even though I wasn't even on there that long, but it is what it is. Tay, what up? Marlon 2631, what's going on? Agent 86 in the building, what up? My boy Coffee Plant in the building. He said gifting them cheesesteaks after beating the brakes off of him is insane. Yeah. Listen, man, Derek Chisora, after he have a good fight, or even after he whoops somebody's ass, he give him cheeseburgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, he be having them in aluminum foil. He always show love. So I guess that's Boo's way of showing love. Tevin Farmer, after he beat John O'Carroll, he took him to go get some cheesesteaks after the fight. So that's just brotherly love for you, man. Shout out to Jaron Ennis, man, for being a humble guy. You know what I mean? He could have easily been an asshole and act like Luis Malima. He was just a nobody or whatever. So he showed the man love. You feel what I mean? So, and Luis Malima was gracious in defeat. So shout out to him as well. I'm sure that he could come back at 154 and definitely make some noise. You feel what I mean? It just so happened that Boost was just a better man that night. It is what it is. And I've seen a lot of the things that people were saying, but we're not going to really dwell on the negatives. The reality is Boost has officially got his first fight at 154 pounds. So now, as boxing fans, we got to talk about exactly what's next for him. You see what I mean? He made a huge statement last night, man, that definitely got the boxing world buzzing. And people got their questions as to whether this fight between Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis is going to happen next or not. I've seen Blue Blood talking. He said, yo, man, like, the Vergil Ortiz fight could have happened in November. You know what I mean? Could you have waited 3 weeks for the fight to happen? That was actually a great point. But I think, at the same time, you shouldn't just be, sitting around just waiting for somebody else to be willing to fight you. It's a lot of good things. It's a lot of things that can be said. You could say that, Jaron Ennis should have waited them 2 or 3 weeks to solidify that Vergil Ortiz fight next. Or you could be like, yo, you want to get acclimated to the division. Vergil Ortiz acclimated to the division, took 2 fights with Thomas Delorme and Frederick Lawson. Why can't Boost have that same privilege? So it's a great dialogue back and forth, whatever. You know what I mean? So it was great conversation over there. You know what I mean? I definitely had some haters in the chat for whatever reason. You know what I mean? I get hate just because I'm from Philadelphia. I really don't understand that, but I don't know, man. It is what it is. If you ain't getting hated on, then I guess you ain't popping. You feel me? So let me see. I want to see this real quick. I actually wanted to play this video for y'all because I thought that this was pretty interesting. Now, I want y'all to see this video. Hopefully, my shit don't get copyrighted for the music, but the music is very important in this video right here because it's going to be very telling. So for those of y'all who Lil Durk fans, y'all fuck with OTF, whatever the case is, man. I want y'all to take a listen to this, and I want y'all to know exactly. I want to know exactly what y'all thoughts are on this situation. Now, let's actually play this video right here. This is a video from Ring Magazine. Shout out to Ring Magazine for putting this up because I thought this was very important. But it says Boots means business. Not long until he makes the walk live on the zone. So obviously this was prior to his fight with Luis Malima. Boots does wrap his own hands, kind of similar to Bud. It's kind of rare to see fighters wrap their own hands, but it's dope to see. You know what I mean? Listen. Now, for those of y'all that knows that song, the name of the song in itself is very ironic. You know what I mean? And I think that Jaron Ennis, I don't think that he did this, out of coincidence. Now, I don't think that's gonna be copyright coffee. I didn't play it too long. You know what I mean? But for those of y'all that seen the video, that heard the video, that is a song by Lil Durk that actually came out a couple years ago. And it was actually one of my favorite songs that came out on the album. But it was called What Happened to Vergil. So that was a song that Boots was playing. Obviously, that's an interesting song selection in all honesty, because of course Boots' name has been attached to Vergil Ortiz in terms of big fights that could be happening at 154 pounds. You see what I'm saying? So is it ironic? Yes. Boots playing that song, is it ironic? Yes. But is it a coincidence? I don't think so. I think there was a couple things that Boots did last night that just somehow, some way connected to Vergil Ortiz. That song being one of them, his fight outfit being another. That's just me. You know what I mean? I seen the colors, and me, we was chopping it up on the live, and I was like, yo, that's like the Dallas Cowboy colors. That's the Cowboys? Why the fuck is he wearing? It didn't really click in my head why he was wearing those colors. My girl had said Penn State, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Penn State, Pennsylvania. Boots is from Philadelphia. That's a city in Pennsylvania. I get it. But it just didn't make much sense to me. You know what I mean? It didn't really make much sense to me. Then I was like, okay, Vergil Ortiz, from what I understand, he's from Dallas, right? So could it be? Well, it says he's from Grand Prairie, but I don't know. I don't know exactly where Grand Prairie is at. But he was actually born in Dallas, Texas. You feel what I'm saying? So that just so happens to be where Vergil Ortiz is from. So did he do that purposely? Was the fight outfit done purposely? I had actually tapped in with one of my guys who close to Jaron Ennis, and I asked him. He was like, I have no idea. So, I guess it's up in the air. It could have been a coincidence in all honesty. He said Grand Prairie is 15 minutes away from Dallas. Okay. So that's like fucking Upper Darby from Philadelphia, right down the street from each other. Okay, that's good to know. I'm not really too familiar with Texas, but shout out to Tay for keeping me informed. So, makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? I was just putting these little things together. So that just lets me know that, to me, that wasn't a coincidence. We never seen Boots wear those type of colors. You know what I mean? He actually, okay. So Bad Boom Balloon says, I'd say coincidence. Okay, so him playing a song called What Happened to Vergil, coming out the Dallas Cowboy colors, and then calling out Vergil Ortiz after the fight, all of that, you would consider that a coincidence? Okay. I guess we'll see. Maybe Boots be like, no, that was just the colors I wanted to wear. All right, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt just because, I fuck with, Jaron Ennis. But, all of those things being put together, damn, it just make a lot of sense to me. You feel what I mean? It just lets me know that Jaron Ennis is absolutely locked in. He's absolutely dialed in on that fight with Vergil Ortiz. And I ain't gonna lie, man. I love that fight. Now, I'm going to actually put this down. Hopefully, I don't get copyrighted for that. Coffee Plant said copyright, but I hope that's not the case. What's the possibility of this fight happening next? Like, does this fight necessarily happen next? Does this fight happen in early 2026, like Eddie Hearn said? Now, Eddie Hearn said at that press conference, and we did a live reaction to the post-fight press conference and stuff like that. Eddie Hearn told the media that, he sat down with Golden Boy. He sat down with Eric Gomez, Oscar De La Hoya, and they were able to come to an agreement in terms of, a time frame for which Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz could fight each other, right? So if they're sitting in the room together and they come to some type of verbal agreement, that gives somebody like Eddie Hearn a lot of reassurance. You see what I mean? So he was so confident after having that verbal agreement that he put it in writing for Jaron Ennis in that contract extension that Jaron Ennis signed with Matchroom Boxing, right? Cool. So does this necessarily mean that this fight absolutely happens next? Not really. You know what I mean? A verbal agreement can only take you so far. And Eddie Hearn actually followed up with saying that, yo, I spoke with Eric Gomez. And he was like, yo, let's just have this fight happen between, Vergil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin, and we'll be good after the fact. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the fact that Eric Gomez is staying in contact with Eddie Hearn and not just going completely MIA, you know what I mean? That could be a good sign. You know what I mean? That could definitely be a good sign that, this is a fight that both sides are genuinely interested in. But we can't really overlook the fight that Vergil Ortiz has in front of him, ladies and gentlemen. We got 13 people in the building, man. Let's hit the likes. Let's hit the likes, man. Let's get 13 likes in the building. Let's get the algorithm on the up so the people know that Mazuma TV is live, y'all. Let me see where we at. We got 5 likes, man. Let's get them up. Let's get them up. I appreciate everybody that's coming through and supporting the channel, man. Thank you very much. I mean, we definitely going to cook. We're going to let a few more people get in here. Then I'm going to open the platform up for open boxing topics. You feel what I mean? Let me see. Let me actually let the group chat know I'm live. I got right into the shit because I started late. You know what I mean? Bad Boom Balloon coming through with the comment. He said, low key, speaking of verbal agreements, I'm interested in Shakur versus Ben after the Ariel Helwani show. Man, to me, it was all talk. You know what I mean? I think it was a fight that Shakur Stevenson was genuinely interested in, but I just feel like Conor Ben, took it upon himself to encourage the talks just so he wouldn't look like he was backing down or discouraged or even ducking. You know what I mean? I knew that talk, I knew that was just talk at the end of the day. I knew that Shakur would have really taken the fight if it was presented to him. Because let's keep it real. Conor Ben ain't the most skilled dude. He does have hand speed. He does have power. But you're going to need more than that to defeat somebody like Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson really believes in his abilities. You know what I mean? His IQ. And he knows that he's a much more smarter fighter than Ben. He's the more experienced fighter than Ben. So why not take the opportunity? He feels like his skill set is so superior that a 2 weight class move up wouldn't hinder his performance against him. So that just lets you know how much he thinks of himself and how less he thinks, how much less he thinks of Conor Ben. You feel what I mean? But to be real with you, to keep it 1,000, I knew that Conor Ben was going to end up rematching Chris Eubank Jr. I knew Shakur Stevenson was going to end up tied up with another fight in or around his division, which it seems like is going to be Teofimo Lopez. So I knew that fight wasn't going to come together at all. And I don't even know if Eddie Hearn will put Conor Ben in that situation. You heard Eddie Hearn say last night that he trying to line Conor Ben up with who was it? He said Barrios. He said Crocker. You know what I mean? Like, he talking about them type of guys. You know what I mean? He talking about the low-level champions, in the welterweight division. You feel what I mean? But who's to say that Conor Ben's going to go back down to 47 after being at 160 in back-to-back fights? Is he going to boil himself back down to 47 and, possibly be a shell of himself against a Crocker or a Barrios? I don't know. I don't know, man. I think when you fight, when you stay at that division that long, it's going to be a little bit tougher to get down to the 47s. You feel me? But that's just my personal opinion. I didn't really think too much of it. Ralph, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Slime, what up? Oscar de la Pase. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Yeah, we definitely need. He said I look like Chris Brown. Damn, because I'm light-skinned, right? They used to call me when I used to do interviews on YSM Sports Media all the time. They used to call me Chris Indigo. I thought that was hilarious. That was one of the funniest names that I ever been called. But shout out to Ahi Jose, whatever your name is, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Remember when Ryan said he could knock out Boots, bro, Delulu? Man, we shouldn't be listening to nothing Ryan got to say. We shouldn't be listening to what Ryan got to say at all. He's a fraud. He's a racist. He's a PED user. And he's coming off of a loss where he was crying in his sprinter after losing to Rolly Romero. So, he got other things that he need to worry about before he starts talking about Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis unifying the divisions. He moving up to be in hopes of becoming a 2-division world champion. Ryan Garcia need to take it upon himself to actually try to win 1 world title. And the 3 divisions that he's been in, he hasn't gotten a single title. So, that just, him and, At least, Vergil Ortiz is in a similar boat, but at least Vergil Ortiz beating notable guys. Ryan is 0-2-1. Well, he lost to Javante. He quit. Let's keep it 1,000. You cheated against Devin Haney. And then you go ahead and you fight Rolly Romero and you get absolutely dominated. And you look at yourself as a top-tier fighter when Rolly's never been known for being a skilled fighter, and he outskilled you. And you blamed it on the crowd. You blamed it on the energy of the crowd. Bitch, what about your performances? What about you? What about you? What about your focus? What about your abilities? Oh, man, it just, I only had 5 weeks to train. And whose fault is that? You know what I mean? Like, he always has an excuse for, him being mid. You know what I mean? He just needs to admit that he mid and go about his business. It's really that simple. Let me see. You said, to be honest, he doesn't have the right to fight Barrios. Who we speaking on? Conor Benn or Chris? We talking about Conor Benn or are we talking about Ryan? Because I'm not too sure. I mean, neither one of them deserve a world title shot, period. I agree. If anybody deserves a shot at Mario Barrios, is Rolly, the one who beat Ryan. Yeah, Ryan definitely don't deserve a Barrios fight. But, Ryan, he probably could offer Barrios a bag that he can't refuse. But we'll see. We'll see for sure. But anyways, let's redirect the conversation back to Jaron Ennis, man. And the possibility of Vergil Ortiz and him fighting each other in early 2026. And what I was saying was we can't necessarily count out the fight that Vergil Ortiz has ahead of him, and that's Erickson Lubin. Erickson Lubin has been somebody who hasn't been able to win a world title, but has been relevant at 154 pounds since a very young age. You know what I mean? And he took the chance early in his career, fighting Jermell Charlo. We saw how the way that went. That was a first-round knockout, just like Luis Malima last night. And it was a devastating one. You know what I mean? It was a one-punch knockout, but it was very devastating. And a lot of people were questioning where Erickson Lubin's career was going to go after that. Erickson Lubin, fortunately, was able to make something of himself after that knockout loss. He was able to beat, guys like Jesus Ramos, which in my opinion, was a bit controversial. He was a top contender at 154. He beat Jason Rosario, who was a former unified champion after beating Julian Williams in Philadelphia. He has names on his resume. Smoochie, what up? And then, he went up against Sebastian Fundora and started off real well. He did. He started really well. However, I think he lost sight of the game plan. He ended up getting into exchanges with Fundora, and it played out in Fundora's favor. You feel what I'm saying? So, I think it's safe to say at this point in time, Erickson Lubin isn't a champion, similar to, Vergil Ortiz right now. But he's been around the block. He pretty much done faced all worst case scenarios, in the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? He done been sparked. You know what I mean? He done been beat up. He's had highs, he's had lows. His career has pretty much been a roller coaster at this point in time, but those type of experiences can make you a better fighter. Now, just like I was saying on Claymore Reigns' channel, this is a fight that Erickson Lubin is taking that he may realize may very well be, just like Anthony Yarde with David Benavidez, this might be his last big opportunity. I think that if Erickson Lubin loses this opportunity, or, he loses in devastating fashion, gets knocked out in devastating fashion, then, you know what I mean? I think it's pretty much going to be curtains on Erickson Lubin's career in terms of competing at an elite level. You know what I mean? Especially with how stacked the division is, it's going to be very hard for Erickson Lubin to get back into the junior middleweight contention, to be honest with you. Lubin is about to fight Vergil Ortiz. Smoochie, you got to catch up. Yeah, Carl, we definitely going to get into that. I'm just providing, and, Carl does provide a great point. He said, let's not count out Vergil's desire to fight Fundora for the championship. Absolutely. We taking that into consideration. I'm just bringing up Lubin's side as of right now. Vergil, Erickson Lubin understands that this is a fight that he needs to come out victorious in, because if he defeats, Vergil Ortiz, that could get him to the ultimate place in his career, and that's competing for a world title. He might be able to get that rematch with Sebastian Fundora. You know what I mean? We can't count out Vergil Ortiz's desire to face Fundora, but we also can't count out Erickson Lubin's desire to get that rematch with Sebastian Fundora. You know what I mean? In a fight where he knocked down Sebastian Fundora, had Fundora in trouble, showed that, throughout the fight that he could compete at that level. I do think Fundora has gotten better since then, but, I think that Erickson Lubin still is of that, top tier cloth in that division. He just ran into situations where, he didn't come out successful. You feel what I mean? Did I see Bakram's tweet? No, I did not, but I can actually take a look at it right now. I was still laughing at the whole Baccarat situation. I thought that shit was funny. Let me see. Okay, so this is Bakram Murtazaliyev right here, the current IBF world champion at 154 pounds. He said on October 11th, he said, "I'm ready," with a wink face. So that's just Bakram letting it be known that he's willing to fight the top guys. He's willing to face Jaron Ennis. You know what I mean? Which is, dope. And I really hope that we can see that fight happen. You feel what I mean? But this is the thing though, with Vergil, and I'm glad that L-Dub Boxing actually reminded me of this because it completely slipped my mind. Because Jaron Ennis just won the WBA interim title, he's considered a champion, so that's going to remove him from the other rankings. You know what I mean? It's going to remove him from the WBC. It's going to remove him from the WBO. It's going to remove him from the IBF. So, I guess based off of this move, him winning the WBA interim is putting him in the WBA route. And I just seen an interview from, Abbas Barau where he came out and said, Jaron Ennis, I'll fight you. So that might be the fight that might be the first world title that Jaron Ennis competes for, to be honest with you. So, we got a little bit distracted right there, but, we cannot overlook this fight between Erickson Lubin and Vergil Ortiz. Erickson Lubin is motivated. I'm sure he's locked in. He understands that this might be his last big opportunity, so he's going to prepare accordingly. I know him and his team are studying Fundora. They're checking out his patterns, his tendencies, what he's good at, what he's not so good at. And he's going to be locked in. So we're going to get whatever's available of Erickson Lubin. That's what he's going to bring to the table the night of that fight. Vergil Ortiz, on the other hand, he's definitely motivated by a few things as well. I know that he's Baccarat is that expensive-ass cologne, yeah. I was going to get that shit too, but I was like, let me chill out. I heard good things about Baccarat, though. But anyways, Vergil Ortiz, he's very motivated as well. Just like, what was this guy's name? Just like, where he at? Just like Carl said, there's a lot of things that Vergil Ortiz is going into this fight motivated about as well. You know what I mean? Of course, he wants to finally become world champion because that's been one of the biggest criticisms about Vergil Ortiz is that he's beating these credible names. He's definitely amongst the best at 154. But the difference between him and a lot of the best guys in the division is that he hasn't been able to achieve the ultimate goal, and that's becoming a world champion, right? Now, I definitely think politics may have played a part. I do think that there's also been some bad timing on Vergil Ortiz's part, considering the fact that he had gotten sick in the lead up to that Stanionis fight, so he wasn't able to, fight for the WBA. I think that was for the WBA regular title. You feel what I mean? So there was a few opportunities that Vergil Ortiz just seemed to not be in line with. So, he hasn't been able to achieve that ultimate goal. So I'm sure he wants to accomplish that, and he's very motivated. And I think that Vergil Ortiz also believes in himself and, his ability to beat, the top guys. You feel me? So that's going to be a great fight. I think Erickson Lubin is going to definitely give Vergil Ortiz trouble in spots, but I do think Vergil Ortiz comes out victorious. But, you know what I mean? We might have to put a hold on the whole Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz talks until, Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz talks until, that Lubin and Ortiz fight is, concluded. Because to be honest with you, Erickson Lubin does have what it takes to fuck up that whole situation. So we could be talking about, Vergil boost. But if Lubin beats Vergil, that fight is completely thrown out of the window. Vergil Ortiz is going to have to take a step back. Erickson Lubin is going to have to take a step forward. And for real, it might be a situation where we might see Boots and Lubin fight. For real, for real. So we gotta be patient. We gotta see how this fight come together. I'm rooting for Vergil Ortiz because at the end of the day, I want to see Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz fight. Now, let's be objective. Let's be unbiased, right? Because y'all know I fuck with Jaron Ennis. Now I'm about to be looking at things from Vergil Ortiz's perspective, right? Vergil Ortiz, right? When he looks over the landscape of 154 pounds, Vergil Ortiz definitely has some options. He has something that's very important in the sport of boxing. That's an interim title. And, I think that's a very important title to have, especially as a contender, because it could put you in position to fight for the ultimate belt, right? Which is, the full status belt. So he currently has a WBC interim, title. And, Sebastian Fundora has the WBC super welterweight title of the world, right? He was lined up to face Keith Thurman. Fundora had to pull out due to a hand injury, and he won't be looking to come back until January, right? Or that's what Keith Thurman said. They said they're looking at January as a time frame to come back, whatever the case is, right? Cool. So, looking at things from Vergil Ortiz's shoes, right? If he knows that there's a possibility that the WBC will mandate Vergil Ortiz to fight Fundora and they have this much time, to get the fight done, you know what I mean? Because I think the WBC does do mandatories at least once a year, right? Would him fighting Jaron Ennis be the ideal thing to do when you know that you have a world title fight possibly within your grasp, and that's something that you've been looking for this whole time? Is that the smart thing to do if you're Vergil Ortiz? Let's just keep it 1,000. If you know that the WBC could just order the fight anytime after the result of Fundora Thurman, these motherfuckers eventually going to have to see you in this WBC ranks, right? Well, the WBC champion eventually got to see you, right? The winner of Thurman Fundora. Is it wise to fight Jaron Ennis in between a possible mandatory title shot when Boots may very well be able to fuck up your chances of becoming world champ? Is that something that you want to do? J805 says PBC ain't letting Fundora lose to a non-PBC fighter. Well, this is the thing. He already gave up one title not trying to fight a non-PBC fighter. Right? The WBO, they fuck with Top Rank. They got a good relationship with Top Rank, right? The WBO mandated Fundora to fight Xander Zayas. They said no, we not fighting him. Gave the belt up. Had Xander Zayas fight for the vacant title and win it. You left on your last world title. Are you really about to vacate your WBC? Let's say the WBC mandates him to fight Vergil. Are you gonna vacate your WBC title to avoid Vergil Ortiz and not have any world titles? I mean, when you were unified, you had two of them. You gave up one, but the good thing about you being unified is if you give up one, you still a world champion, right? Cool. So if you go ahead and you give up that title, and then you give up another title, and now you're not a world champion, that's gonna damage your reputation severely. You feel what I mean? Carl R-Line says, keep in mind that opportunity will go away with a loss. That's exactly what I'm saying. So if you're Vergil Ortiz and you're on the cusp of fighting for a world title, but Jaron Ennis is trying to get at you, pause, and trying to rumble you. Are you really and Jaron Ennis is very capable of fucking you up if you slip in that night. Are you really gonna take that opportunity in between fighting for a world title? And you know that if you get beat up, stopped, defeated by Jaron Ennis, whatever the situation is, them opportunities going right away. You know why? Because Vergil Ortiz is already a dangerous fighter himself, right? They don't really want to take that chance with him unless they have no other choice. So if Vergil Ortiz loses against Boots, that's going to give those champions like Fundora an exit. That's gonna give them their exit ticket out of having a fight with you, because they could be like, oh, I mean, Vergil just lost his last fight. What do I get out of fighting him? And they could be completely justified in saying that, because don't nobody want to fight. No, don't nobody want to be criticized for fighting a guy who's coming off of a loss. And let's say Fundora were to beat Vergil. All right, you beat Vergil coming off of a loss. He's not going to really get any credit for that situation. You feel what I'm saying? Well, most of the time. Most of the time, you won't get credit for the situation. So Vergil definitely got some things to think about, bro. And on some real shit, if Vergil fights Boots next, in between, that possible world title shot between the winner of Fundora Thurman, my respect for Vergil gonna go through the motherfucking roof. Even though I'm gonna be rooting for Boots, my respect for Vergil gonna go through the motherfucking roof, because he didn't have to do that. You feel what I mean? He could have held on to his little interim title until the WBC called his ticket, and then he could go up and fight for him. So if he go ahead and he fights Jaron Ennis, and let's say he fucking beats Jaron Ennis, bro. Let's say he beats Jaron Ennis some way, somehow, and then he ends up fighting the Fundora Thurman winner and fucking grabs that world title. It's a bad motherfucker right there, boy. That's a bad motherfucker right there, for sure. Has anybody got the Ring Magazine belt at 154? I think the last time I checked, it was Jermell Charlo, but I don't know exactly where that title is now. Let me take a look. I don't know if it's vacant. Where's the Ring Magazine title at? 154. Ring. It's vacant. According to Ring Magazine, the junior middleweight title is vacant, but I know Jermell Charlo had it for a fact. Actually, a lot of the titles, a lot of the Ring Magazine titles are vacant. The junior 108, 112, 118, 126, 130, 135, 147, 160. They're all vacant. It's interesting. But it is vacant at this point in time. It's vacant, but Charlo should have it. Well, considering his inactivity and pretty much leaving the division, he fucked himself over. I think the only belt that you can't really lose for real, unless you retire, is like the lineal, like you being the lineal champion. Because remember that shit? Tyson Fury won. He became the lineal champ after beating Vladimir Klitschko, and then like he retired. He went on that coke binge and got to like 400 plus pounds. And then when he came back, Wilder was like, "Oh, I'm the champion." He said, "No, I'm the champion. I'm the lineal heavyweight champion of the world." It's like, the fuck? Like that's not even like a visible belt. They just, I don't know. And then like the lineal champion before that was like Lennox Lewis. That's confusing. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, the man T said an imaginary belt. That's what they call it. Al Power, what up, brother? Lee Jackson, what's going on? How we feeling? We got 35 people in the building. We picking up, man. Let's hit the likes, y'all. Like I said, we hit the 3,200 mark, man. You know what I mean? It was a slow ride to 3,200, but we got there nonetheless, man. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel and all that good stuff, man. The boy George says, Chris Algieri said that Ortiz boost is probably not going to happen next. Ortiz might just go to Fundora Raw for the WBC title. And that's the point that I'm making right here. When you're really looking at, Vergil's options. And I think I even heard Golden Boy say, like, Boots not at the top of the list. And I think they even mentioned that at a post-fight press conference yesterday. Thank you, Smoochie, for congratulating me on the 3.2. Thank you. Smoochie, how was your night? Did you get back to Connecticut? Talk to me. What happened? You ain't even update us. I know Smoochie said she wanted her money back. she was in the building for Boots and Lima. You gotta let me know how your trip was, how you feel. But I think they even mentioned that at the post-fight press conference that Golden Boy came out and said that Boots not at the top of Fundora list. I mean, Vergil Ortiz's list. And when you think about it, it makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world. Boots is looking to make his name in the division. Vergil, he's already a name in the division, having an interim title. Well, Boots, after fighting Lima, they both interim champions. So to be real, they're really on the same level. But hey man, when you got a possible world title in front of you, that makes a lot more sense to take in comparison to fighting Jaron Ennis, who could fuck up your opportunities. And I actually agree with Chris Algieri. I don't think this fight is going to happen next. I really don't. I don't think this fight going to happen, y'all. And this ain't me being pessimistic. This ain't me, wishing bad on Jaron Ennis or hoping that he doesn't get the opportunity. I hope he does. I hope Boots goes on to become undisputed in the division. I hope that's what he has set in place, and I hope he accomplishes that. I fuck with Boots that heavy. And like I said, I'm very happy that I was able to contribute some way, going into this camp. You feel what I mean? But really looking at Vergil Ortiz's options, I don't think he takes this fight with Jaron Ennis. I think he's gonna really take that WBC route and really put that pressure on Fundora to get that mandatory fight scheduled. That's just me. And if you in Vergil Ortiz's shoes, are you necessarily are you mad at him for that? Is he wrong for that? I don't think so. If your ultimate goal is to become world champion and you have a straight route to it, you just need to let the sanctioning bodies do their job. But you got this dangerous motherfucker over here trying to fight you, and that fighting him, could lead to you possibly taking an L and fucking up all your chances. You gotta start right back down. So let's think about it. Let's say you walking up steps, right? The building is 10 stories high and you on the 7th floor. So you got more stories behind you than ahead of you, and you almost there. You almost at the top. You almost at the roof of the motherfucker. You almost at the last floor. But then you got this motherfucker who, wants you to stop at the 8th floor and see him real quick. But that could be a situation where, you might end up back down at the lobby. Are you really about to do that? Are you really about to do that? Or are you going to continue moving up until you get to that top floor? That's how you got to look at that situation. Is Vergil going to be willing to stop at the 8th floor to see Jaron Ennis and fuck up his plans of possibly getting up to the top floor? Or should he just not worry about Jaron Ennis and just go straight to the top and get that opportunity? You feel what I mean? And I'm glad that Anonymous brought this up. He says, because I was just about to get into this. He said, I wouldn't mind both going for title shots if Vergil wins against Lubin, to be honest. Me neither. For real. If we able to get that fight, then fuck it. I'm gonna be very happy to see that fight. It's gonna be an exciting fight. But look how the way these things are lined up right now. Both of these guys are interim champions in the division. Boots just picked up the WBA interim title. Vergil done had the WBC interim title for a minute. With that being said, why don't they just go all the way for the titles that they're interim champions in? Why don't they go all in on the sanctioning body that they're currently interim champions in? Vergil, go for the WBC. Jaron Ennis, go for the WBA. Jaron Ennis, I just seen Barrow say, yo, Boots, I will fight you, right? Vergil, he been wanting that Fundora fight. Both of these guys fight for world champions, world titles. If they both come out successful, they both become world champions. Now we talking about unification. And that's something that I'm sure both of these guys want. So I may have a different opinion than everybody else, right? But really think about, we got to take, and I hate talking about the business as a boxing fan. Boxing fans like, yo, we sick of marinating shit. Bro, I get it. I'm just putting myself in Vergil Ortiz's shoes right now. Is he really about to possibly fuck up his opportunity and fight for the WBC by losing to Jaron Ennis or having a tough fight with Jaron Ennis, whatever the case is? when he could just sit back, wait till the WBC mandates it, and then he could go straight for the opportunity. The Dank father says they could unify their interim titles. Fuck waiting. So I guess you could do what David Morrell and Benavidez did, right? I mean, that's what Benavidez and Morrell did. I think that Benavidez had WBC interim after beating Vosdick, I believe, and then Morrell had the WBA interim. I think after being Hot Rod, I believe. So when they both faced each other, it was a unification. It was an interim unification fight. So I feel that, Dank father. I ain't necessarily mad at you for having that perspective, but I'm just telling you, seeing things from Vergil Ortiz's point of view, I can see why he doesn't take that Jaron Ennis fight next. But if he does, I'll give him a whole lot of respect for that. You feel what I mean? I would really respect that. What was the Mazuma fight for? Was that a mandatory? I don't even know. I think that was just a fight that Vergil put together, to be honest with you. That might have just been like on some voluntary shit. I don't know if that was like a what? Yo, box. Wait, hold up. Yo, BoxRec got commercials now. They making you watch advertisements to view their content. What? Oh, hell no. Since when? It says watch an ad to get 12 hours of access to BoxRec. Oh my God, bro. BoxRec is an idiot, bro. Like having y'all advertisement on y'all page, like on the top of the page, ain't enough. Now we gotta watch advertisements just to look at somebody's record. Oh my God, are we serious? Yes. They about to really sit here and maybe watch a 30-minute commercial about golf. Man, get the fuck out of here with that weird shit. But yeah, I don't know. I think that was just a voluntary defense, to be real with you. With Mazumov. I know that Vergil wanted off of Bohachuk. But anyways. Definitely money. Let me see. My boy George said it would also be cool if Boost picked up a title against Bakram or Barao. Then let's say Ortiz fights and beats Fundora. You can make Boost versus Ortiz on Cinco de Mayo or Mexican Independence Weekend. That's exactly what I said. But people, I said that shit yesterday. I said that Boost and Vergil should fight each other in May of 2026. And my boy Reed was like, nah, that's too far. That's too far. But really think about it. They could fight each other. They could fight early this year. Ah, man, I would love to see that, man. I would love to see that. Maybe Turkey should, take part in that, man. Since he like to give motherfuckers fights and then, he like to build up fights. Why don't Turkey Al-Sheikh get behind? How about you put a card together, Turkey, right? Where Boost fights Barao, Vergil fights Fundora on the same card. But then Vergil talking about he might fight Fundora. Man, Fundora talking about he gonna fight Thurman, possibly fight Thurman in January. See, Fundora on nut shit, bro. He man, come back off of that injury and fight somebody else, man. Fuck Thurman. Dead ass, bro. Like Thurman don't deserve that motherfucking opportunity, bro. Seriously. But this is what I would like to see as a boxing fan. Just like how you did that AJ and Wilder card and, but Wilder fucked the money up, all that good shit. How about we see you put a Riyadh season card together? Because Turkey going to be the only one that's going to be able to make this shit happen financially, right? Barao versus Boots. That's a world title fight. Fundora, Vergil, for the WBC. The winner of both of those titles fight each other. That'd be a good job. We got the interim champions fighting the champions. And whoever becomes the champion out of those two fights, they fight each other for unification. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? That's 22. What up? He said, yo, bro, good to see you up on a different platform. Yeah, I came through for a little bit, bro. I wasn't able to really talk as much as I wanted to, but it is what it is. We'll catch up another time. He came on a little later, so I try to spend as much time as I could over there, but shout out to Dust 22. He said, best fight at 154, both unify. Best fight at 154, both unify. Xander still in the division is Boots and Xander next December. So the end of 2026. I like it. But I don't know how long Xander's staying there, bro. I'm still one of them people that subscribe to the fact that I think Xander's having trouble making 54. I think he's gonna do a title. I think he's gonna do a title defense and move up. To be real, I think that he's gonna defend it, and I think that's why he's trying to get that unification fight with Barao, so that a lot of people shooting at Barao. I'm noticing that, but I think that's why he's trying to lock in that unification fight, so that before he leaves the division, he'll have more leverage going into the middleweight division. That's what I think. You feel me? Like that's what I really think of the whole situation. Ralph said, damn, Vergil versus Fundora probably won't happen until around June next year if Fundora still fights Thurman. Oh, man, listen, bro. Like, I was never too enthused about that fight anyway. You feel me? I think Thurman was just getting that opportunity because he happened to be at PBC or whatever the case is, bro. But, to be real, like, is Fundora, Thurman, is he a good fighter? Yes. You know what I mean? Is he an accomplished fighter? Yes. But, like, is he more in demand of a title shot in comparison to Vergil Ortiz? Absolutely not. I'd rather see Vergil fight Fundora instead of Fundora fighting Thurman. I don't want to see Thurman in this mix. You feel what I mean? Maybe if, a champion's available, all right, cool. But, like, bro, you holding up. Why are you getting the opportunity over Vergil Ortiz? That's what's fucking my head up. Why are we sitting here acting like Thurman's more of a formidable opponent than Vergil Ortiz? Vergil Ortiz putting all this motherfucking work in, trying to fight for a world title. Meanwhile, Thurman go ahead and skip the line, bro. See, I don't like that type shit. But yeah, Ghost, I think Xander gonna be out of the division before we know it. That boy getting bigger and bigger every time. He not fat neither. Like he not like being undisciplined. I always see Xander working, but Xander just keep growing. The motherfucker getting taller. His frame getting bigger. I don't know. Like Xander might fuck around retire as like a 68 light heavy. For real. Dank Father says Vergil ain't activate his mandatory status. He trying to ride the interim so he get elevated. How does one do that? How does one activate his mandatory status? Because I heard people say the same thing about David Benavidez. Oh, he didn't activate his mandatory status against Canelo. Like, how do you do that? Could somebody tell me how that is? I thought that sanctioning bodies were the ones. I thought sanctioning bodies were the ones that activated mandatories. I thought that was their job. I didn't know that a fighter could do that. Could somebody please tell me how that's possible? Because I feel like if that was like so easy, that a bunch of people be activating their mandatories by now. I don't believe that. Petition the sanctioning body. Well, petitioning the sanctioning body doesn't guarantee that the sanctioning body is going to mandate the champion to fight you. Petitions only go so far. Like the first time I heard this activated mandatory shit was when David Benavidez was a WBC interim champ and Canelo, was undisputed at super middleweight. And we was calling for Benavidez to fight Canelo, of course. It was the biggest fight at the time to be made. And they was like, oh, well, Benavidez didn't activate his mandatory, status or position. I'm like, how do you do that? I never heard of that until that fight came up. So it's just crazy. I never heard that. You said whoever came up with that, probably a Canelo fan. Yeah, it just seemed like they was trying to make it like it was Benavidez's fault, but it was like, no, Benavidez did. He was accepting. Benavidez was accepting offers and all. They was like, would you accept a $5 million payday with no pay-per-view revenue? He's like, yes. Never heard nothing back. They was hoping that Benavidez say no, so they could be like, see, he don't really want to fight. Why didn't he just take the $5 million that was offered? Shit funny though. PBC did everything to lock in that fight, bro. Everything. They offered Canelo like a 3-fight deal worth millions of dollars, and it included Benavidez. He was like, nope. Canelo ain't want nothing to do with Benavidez, bro. Fundora and Ortiz got different plans. So WBC ain't tripping. But it's like the WBC still got to take it upon themselves to enforce their rules, whether motherfuckers got different plans or not. And let's say it's a situation where this is how I look at it, right? I don't know how the WBC goes about interim champions, but let's say the WBC like, yo, y'all motherfuckers got to fight. I mean, the interim champion got to face the champion, the full status champion. Y'all got this much time to do so. Vergil Ortiz like, I'm not going to be available in that time frame. He's like, all right, nigga, well, you must not want to be interim champion. So we're going to take this belt up off you. You know what I mean? Like, if you were interim champ, you basically got to be ready to face the champion at any time. That's how I look at it. But, yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting. I've never heard that activating the mandatory shit ever. They motherfuckers make it seem like it's like a money in the bank match where you could cash you could cash it in and fight for a world title whenever. Like, that's not how that shit works. Who's the worst champ at 54? I mean, they were saying Xander Zayas at first, but with Barao being around, I'm assuming it would be him. Right? It's like, look at the champions. You got Bakr Mordaziliev, Fundora, Barao, Xander Zayas. Right? I don't think the Barao is better than Xander. I don't think Barao is better than Bakram. I don't think he's better than Fundora. So, nigga said Baccarat. Nah. Bakram's better than Barao, in my opinion. Did I see Tim Bradley's video on Boots? No. I'll take a look at it, though. I can watch it with y'all if y'all want me to. What Tim Bradley be talking about, man? Tim be having me laughing. He funny, man, for sure. He got 20K subs. That's what's up. It said Boots over everybody at 154. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Boots Tim be making me laugh. He be like, yeah. Let this nigga be hype as shit.
Get the intro. That's the energy we need, Boots. Yeah, I seen that damn interview, man. Oh yeah, that's
nigga ain't waste no time. The fuck going on with this nigga?
the energy we need, man. Damn, that's what I've been waiting on that, man. You let those nuts hang last night. Woo-wee!
Nigga, what? Huh? You let them nuts hang last night. Ooh wee! Tim tripping. Tim, what's going on with Tim Health, man? Why his eyes like all yellow, like he got jaundice? He got the Michael Jordan eyes. What's the fuck going on with Tim, man? He need to check in on his health.
You let him hang last night, man. Damn, I know your fans is at home. They cheering right now, boy. Woo, they went to church this morning, hit the Holy Ghost dance this morning after your performance last night, man, and after what you said. You want all of them. Now, hey, these promoters now, oh, yeah, these fighters and these promoters, boy, yeah. All that stuff you said, now you got to bag it up. Yeah, Ortiz, I don't want to hear nothing about not fighting no damn freaking Boots. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Win, lose, or draw against Lubin, damn it, you need to fight Boots. Yeah, y'all supposed to do it at 47. Oh, yeah, now you at 54. Hey, we want to see it. We want to see it. Win, lose, or draw. Hey, Lubin can get that work too. Yeah, Lubin can get it too. He know what time it is. Lubin already know. He probably already in sparred Boots before. He know what that man bring into the ring. Man, that talent, I'm telling you, man, one of the most talented young fighters on planet Earth. Yeah. The thing is, Shakur has it under control. Boots is starting to get it under control. You know, what did I see in the fight? Oh, yeah, he fought a jabroni. Yeah, the dude was scared as hell. I saw it in his eyes when he was looking at him, and, you know, when the referee was giving the little last-minute instructions, man. I'm like, man, this dude finna get in here and get knocked out. He looked spooked. His eyes was big as hell. He was like, damn. Oh, my God, this might be a little bit too much for me, man. Man, look. It's the way you do it. It's the way you go about your damn business. You know, it's a million ways to skin a damn cat. But it's how you do it, man. Some does it better than others. But damn, it was perfection last night from Boots, man. Those little seconds and minutes that I saw, the positioning, man, the patience, man, the eyes, man, the IQ, how he was taking advantage of Lima's mistakes, man, you know, and still was being so technically sound. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for technical ability from Boots, man. I'm looking for discipline from his ass. That's what I need to see from him, man, because he gonna be fighting some killers in his division, man, that can crack right along with him, right? And sometimes fights can end up being who can take whose punch better, right? You know what I'm saying? But as far as skill for skill, man, you can look at the whole landscape of the damn division. Man, Boots got an Uzi. Boots got an AK-47. He got missiles. That boy even got a damn nuke. He got every weapon there is, man. He got barriers. Yeah, underground. You know what I'm saying? He got caves and stuff he can go into. You know what I'm saying? Tuck up in the high guard. Use his head movement and get the hell out of the way. The man got good feet. He can punch coming forward. He can punch going backwards. He can catch and shoot on the inside, man. Yeah, he can slip counter. There's nothing that he can't do.
And that's what I've been saying for well over a year already. So the shit that Tim Bradley's saying, I've been saying that. And I seen that shit in the gym back in like 2017, 2018. Boots could literally do it all. And I'm glad people like Tim who, you know, been in the game are actually able to notice it themselves.
Now, look, hey, his physical game on the inside, that can probably get a little bit better. Yeah, just them physical controls, man. You know what I'm saying? Start framing motherfuckers up in the framing them efforts. Start framing them up on the inside. Yeah. Just roughhousing them, you know what I'm saying? Pulling their head down, right? Grabbing one arm, tucking it underneath, right? And hitting them with the opposite arm. Just a little bit more physicality on the inside, man. He get that down. Ooh, it's gonna be hard to beat him. Yeah, right now, I'm declaring right now, Boots gonna be undisputed at 154 pounds. Undisputed, man. Ain't nobody gonna touch him. Man, you see him get touched last night on that chinny chin. He got smacked. Bam! Did you see how I react though? That's the difference. Some people they get hit and then they like, ooh, oh my, let me get out the way. He was like, oh, that's all you got? That's all. Now take mine. Boom, come back with his big bang, right? Then the follow-up combination was clean. They wasn't reckless and stuff, all under control. See, that's what I'm talking about, Boots. Yeah, Hey, you fought this jabroni, you did what you were supposed to do. Now you take this type of performance and you go fight them Vergil Ortizes, Baccarams of the world, and Xander Zayases of the world, man. Now it's hunting season. That's what it needs to be. You was talking big talk after the fight. Hey man, look, I believe you. I believe you. You want those big fights, man. I love that energy, man. But you better tell Eddie Hearn, give me them damn fights. Hey, the money's there. You already know. Turkey Al-Sheik, he waiting on your ass. Turkey Al-Sheik already said, man, hey, all he want to fight is jabronis. That's it. I'm putting on real fights over here. If you ain't willing to step up and fight the real over here, then boy, stay over there with that Eddie Hearns, my guy. But now, damn it, you said it. Now live up to it. Yeah, you let them nuts hang last night. Let's go. It's time to turn it up, my boy. It's time to turn it up. Yeah, we need you. Oh, boxing needs you, Boots. Yeah, let's go. Anyways, that's my time, and I'm out.
Tim definitely different. But shit, I agree with him. He didn't say anything in that video that, was controversial or anything like that. I think what Tim Bradley said, I think a lot of people feel the same way. Very, very talented individual. I think he's the most skilled guy in the division. And shit, I think that he has everything it takes to become undisputed in the division as well. Tim eyes always popping out his head. Yeah, Tim love him some boxing. That's a fact. You can tell Tim obsessed. But Go787 said, Mark, this might be a hot take, but I don't think Bachram better than those guys. I've seen most of his fights that he couldn't KO. Two dudes Xander got out of there. I think it's just hype from the Tim fight. I mean, time will tell, brother. You know what I mean? Like, time will definitely tell on that whole situation. Bachram, somebody going to pull his card eventually. You know what I mean? Shout out to L-Dub Boxing. I think he actually put out there that Brandon Adams actually became ranked like number 6 and number 8 in the IBF. I feel like Brandon Adams versus Bachram will be a good fight. I genuinely think that'll be a good fight. And I think that if Bachram or his team offered that fight to Brandon Adams, I think Brandon Adams would take it. Look at Brandon Adams' situation. How many world title opportunities does he have within his reach right now? You know what I mean? I know he beat Sergey Bohachuk and stuff like that. That was a good win, but, that doesn't necessarily guarantee a world title opportunity. Fondora's caught up. Barao, he might have some Jaron in his problems, soon. Xander Zayas, he over here trying to get a unification fight. You know what I mean? So, Bachram might be the realest opportunity. And look, Bachram going around saying that he ready. Did Brandon Adams sign with TKO? Did he really? I didn't hear anything about that. I didn't hear anything about that. But if he does sign with TKO, man, that boy Brandon Adams about to be fighting for a Zuffa belt. Oh, man. If motherfuckers sign with TKO and they sign the actual sanctioning bodies, then what? Do they just lose that opportunity because they signed with TKO and TKO don't want to acknowledge any other world titles? So Brunch Boxing reported it. Oh, damn. Brandon Adams might have just lost the opportunity in the IBF. Shit. That's going to be a big problem for TKO, man. Them not acknowledging the other sanctioning bodies. That's going to be a serious issue, especially when fighters are going to have a desire to fight for world titles while being with TKO. That's going to be a serious problem. They're going to do Brandon versus Vito for the Zuffa belt. Oh, I got Brandon beating Vito, by the way, if they were to fight. Southwest Dice said, Mark, what's your take on Tank's career? Are we really about to get into that? Should we even talk about Tank? I don't think we should. Man. It's like, what is there to really say about Tank that I haven't said a million times already? Good, talented guy. Never definitively proved that he was the best in any weight class that he's been in. Never gave never gave the fans the big fights that they wanted us to see. That the fans wanted to see. He never came through with those fights. Um, Ducked top champions in every division that he's been in, bro. It's really that simple. I think a lot of people are on level what Tank could potentially be instead of who he shown to be. You know what I mean? A lot of Tank fans, they live in like fantasy lands where they be like, "Oh, imagine this and imagine that," instead of actually demanding Tank to do something. And now Tank at a point where he disrespecting his day one. So he about the money, he ain't about the legacy. So as fans, we gotta decide whether we gonna support that or not. Me personally, I would never support a fighter who don't put the fans or put his legacy first. That's just me. You know what I mean? Like if every guy that every box, if y'all pay attention, every fighter that I'm a fan of, they looking to do legacy defining shit. They unifying titles. They winning world titles. They fighting the best competition available. Like that's the type guys that I rock with. Shout out to Bam. Shout out to Benavidez. Shout out to Boots. They doing their thing. You know what I mean? And back when Errol Spence was doing his thing, I was rocking with Errol Spence. You know what I mean? I fuck with these type guys. Bill said they piss on your head and tell you it's raining. Yeah, like they'll be fucking you over the whole time. They act like they doing you a favor. I get it. I get it. That's a funny ass quote. That pretty much mean like they telling you they doing one thing the whole time. They being disingenuous. They doing something that's actually hurtful to you. They being I get it for sure. George says, "Do you think Errol Spence and David Benavidez have similar styles, and who do you think is the better overall fighter?" I don't think their styles are the same. What they do have in common is that they both steppers. They come forward, they bring the fighter, they bring the fight. I think that David Benavidez is more, I think Errol Spence is more fundamentally sound. He's more like off the jab, touch the body, keep the high guard nice and tight. David Benavidez, he got a bit of he uses his reflexes a lot, especially defensively. He's more like a speedy volume type of guy. You know what I mean? So they're both accumulative punches. I guess that's something that they have in common as well. But they have similarities in terms of like their approach in the ring, but like their offense is set up different. Uh Earl Spence, it seemed like he takes his time a bit more, and Benavidez is like he goes for it. I don't know. He a bit more aggressive than Earl. Earl's aggressive, but Benavidez intensity is a lot stronger in my opinion. Ralph said that sad Devin Teal fought Loma before Tank. Tank was a champion at 22 while they were on the come up. And completely avoided Loma like the fucking plague at 130 pounds for sure. Let me see. Them Tank Tans turning into Boots fans, really? We don't want them fans over here, man. We do not need them. They need to go ahead and retire from being fans, for sure. Just like Tank retiring. He said, "My favorite fighter that's in 2025: Bud, Boots, Xander, Usyk, Inoue, Shakur, Lara, John Beck, Matias, Jai, Opatai, and Fury." You fuck with Fury? Okay. I like that list. I like that list for sure. Bud, Boots, Xander, Usyk, yup. Inoue, yup. Shakur, Lara, John Beck, Matias, Jai. I don't really fuck with Fury, but I fuck with the rest of them. You named everybody. You named all solid guys, then you ran into a drug cheat, man. Damn. Shout out to Ghost though. Southwest Dice said, "Man, Bud made Canelo and Spence look like level one fighters. That's some crazy shit." Well, Bud is that special of a talent, bro. You know what I mean? People trying to make excuses like saying that Earl was burnt out and Canelo was burnt out. They just made it seem like it was a timing thing, and that's why Bud, came out successful. That he just fought them at the right time. I disagree with that. You know what I mean? I just think that Bud, happened to be the better man. You know what I mean? Earl Spence, I think he took the wrong approach with Bud, to be honest. I think that he should have been a bit more responsible defensively. I think he should have been more calculated with how the way he approached, Crawford. I just seemed like he was trying to break Crawford and he ran into some shit as a result of that. Canelo Alvarez, Canelo Alvarez had been set at his ways at 168, where and he was definitely like thinking that Bud was gonna behave like everybody else did at 168. I guess he grew accustomed to people getting hit by him and them going into defense mode, survival mode, and he's able to walk them down and just land the bigger shots and have them running for their life around the ring. I guess he thought Bud was gonna have that same thing that Jermell Charlo had in him, but found out real quick that Bud is just he got a different type of character. He got a different type of approach. You know what I mean? Different type of skill set too. It's really the mentality of Bud that makes him stand out, because let's be real, we seen fighters more talented than Bud. You know what I mean? We seen guys who, have similar skill to Bud, but they just ain't have his mentality. You know what I mean? They didn't have his confidence. You feel what I mean? I think that Bud is extremely talented, gifted individual, but I think what really takes him to a different stratosphere in terms of, being an elite level fighter is his mindset. And I before Max Kellerman I was saying that he had that Jordan mentality, a straight killer, a psycho competitor. Bud can't go a day without trying to compete with somebody and something that really drives him. You feel me? So when you have that skill set and you got that competitive mindset like Bud, it's gonna be really hard to beat you, because you're gonna take things to a level that most people are not gonna want to get to. You feel what I mean? He's gonna take it where a lot of people not gonna be willing to take it, and that's gonna give him the advantage. 9 times out of 10. So yeah, man. Bud, yeah, he made them guys look simple. Generational talents, they seem to have a way about themselves where they make big fights or difficult fights look very easy. Man, I don't want to get into them Bud and Boost conversations, man. I really don't. Um, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say, ain't no real point in talking about that, man. Uh, you said if you pick at the moment, there's no point in even talking about that because Bud ain't at 54 no more. Southwest Dice said Bud probably competing with everyone around daily. Bro, if you watch, he has his own YouTube channel. A lot of people don't know that. He literally puts out episodes, and every time they put out an episode, Bud is competing with somebody doing something, making bets, just like Jordan. Like if you watch The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, he'd be gambling before his game. You know what I mean? Like shooting dice or whatever. Like Bud was literally competing with his mans on who made the best chicken, who made the best burgers. They racing. They doing a foot race outside of their crib. Um, he was betting his homie that he couldn't eat a hot chip and not drink water for 10 minutes. What the fuck was the other one? I seen them playing ping pong, of course. They play ping pong all the time. Like, that's all Bud do. That's all he do. You know what I mean? Yeah, I seen the shit where he was wrestling Nico Ali Walsh, Muhammad Ali grandson, tossing him all around. Um, I'm sure there's shit that I forgot when I was watching this episodes. They always were doing something that had to do with some type of betting or competing. I'm telling you. Yeah, bro. Like I said, yeah, anonymous, I agree with you. And that goes together with what I was saying earlier. When you had that type of mindset where you're constantly competing or always having the drive to compete, that's gonna give you the psychological advantage over a lot of guys. Because you're so accustomed to competing, you're gonna be and you wanting to win so bad, it's gonna put you, it's gonna basically, what I'm trying to say is you're gonna be willing to take it somewhere that a person who doesn't have that same drive as you is gonna want to take it. You feel what I'm saying? Like your will to win is gonna be significantly greater than your opponent's. You feel what I mean? Like Bud is just like that. He reminds me of Jordan, bro. Like Jordan always, like he be playing poker in his hotel room before a game. You know what I mean? And I heard Bud be playing them cards too. I seen him on that PJ gambling with his homies. I mean, like that's just what they do. And when Shakur Stevenson look like he that type of competitor too. You gotta notice, and Floyd Mayweather was the same way. Floyd Mayweather was the same way. A lot of these high level athletes, they like to gamble because it gives them that thrill. Like it gives them that adrenaline rush that they addicted to. They love to gamble. They love to compete. They love to compete. When Floyd was coming up and he was under Roger Mayweather, bro, Roger Mayweather was a big competitor as well. And like I don't know if y'all peep, they be competing in the like when they doing pad work, Roger Mayweather be trying to knock Floyd head off. And Floyd just keeping his defense sharp. Like they would compete like that. They would take each other to the they would push each other to the next level. He played darts versus yeah, it's definitely a high. And that's a high that, it's very hard to achieve unless you're doing some high stakes gambling or something for sure. Yeah, Lorenzo, he played darts versus Eddie Hearn and he beat him. That's the crazy part. Well, he almost got into a fight with Trey Songz because they was gambling. They was gambling over who could make the most 3-point shots. Like, Bud different, bro. Totally different. That competitive mindset it's gonna take you real far. They don't know when to turn it off. Some people know when to turn it off. But that's their life. You feel me? Let me see. Go 787 said, man, why the fuck people who are great most of the time, they are the worst to be around, arrogant and all that combined. Well, I've never heard that about Bud, to be fair. I've never heard that about Bud. Everybody that I know that has interacted with Bud has said that he was a cool individual. So I don't know if that necessarily applies to Bud, but I have heard negative things about Jordan. I've heard negative things about like LeBron in terms of how the way they interact with fans and refusing to sign autographs and walking past them as if they nobodies. Like I seen videos of Michael Jordan walking past little kids. You feel what I mean? Like little kids, like little 5, 6 year olds, with a marker in their hand trying to get you to sign like a picture of yourself or some shoes or jersey. And you'll literally look at them and discuss and keep it moving. I'm like, bro, you got to be a real big piece of shit to do that, especially when you've had kids. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I got a 2 year old, bro. Crown Jewel, what up? Crown Jewel, I think he saw my son. He saw my son the night of the fight. Um, you know, like there's no way with me being a father, I could look at a little kid in his or her eyes, and tell them no about signing an autograph. I don't give a fuck how busy I am. Motherfuckers gonna have to wait. Especially if I'm a hot commodity, you ain't got no choice but to wait. If I'm Jordan, you waiting for me, motherfucker. Fuck is you talking about? Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna sign all these kids' autographs. So what? It is what it is. Even if I'm not in the mood, because we human, we go through our moods. Them kids, they grow to appreciate that shit. That's why I appreciate Rolly Romero, bro, because he gave back to one of the kids at my gym a pair of winning gloves, and that meant so much. Um, that meant so much to the kid that he didn't even wear them. He put them in a display case. You feel what I mean? So yeah, man. I heard. Yeah, I seen LeBron do the same shit. Everybody that I heard done talked to LeBron or been around LeBron, they say he an asshole. But I don't know. The fans do make or break you. Yup, that's a fact. Absolutely, Crown Jewel. Appreciate you, brother. You said Manny, he's the nicest fuck. I heard good things about Manny though. I actually heard good things about Floyd. People that met Floyd, like Floyd took pictures with my homie's son and held him as if that was his own. And they said that he was a real nice guy. I met Tito Trinidad. Motherfucker talked to me like he knew me. Treated me really well, bro. I met Roy Jones. Treated me like he knew me. Treated me like we was friends. He over here asking me questions. Evander Holyfield. Nice person, bro. Nice guy. Back when he had Real Deal Promotions, we fought on his undercard. Nice guy, bro. Evander Holyfield. And he had no security with him. He was sitting there by himself. I'm like, Holyfield, I said, can I take a picture with you, man? He was like, of course. We took the picture. He was like, you competing? I'm like, yeah. He was like, where you at? I said, right now I'm at 152. He said, how much you weigh right now? And at that time, I was coming off, I had surgery on my toe. So I had blew up a little bit. I was like 175. He's like, why don't you just fight at that weight? I said, Holyfield, you crazy. And we both laughed at each other. I was like, oh, you crazy as shit. And he laughed at me too. Ain't no way I'm fighting at 175. No, how big them motherfuckers is. And the amateurs is 178. At that time, we was training Atifo Burlington. Atifo Burlington, like 6'3", 6'4", southpaw, punching like a man. You trying to get me put in a bag. You crazy as shit. Ain't no way. Oh shit, you got to go to Holyfield Old Mansion. That's dope. Holyfield, always nice. Always nice. I only met one boxer that was an asshole when I met him. It was on one. It was one guy. Danny Garcia was always nice. Tavern Farmer was always nice. Boots, always cool. Always cool. Um, Ben Rodriguez, nice guy. J Rock, cool. Stephen Fulton, cool. Uh, really don't got nothing negative to say about a lot of these guys, bro. They were always Tito Mercado. Motherfuckers don't like Tito Mercado. They think he an asshole. Cool dude. The one motherfucker that was an asshole to me was Bernard Hopkins. Asshole. Do I really got to take a picture right now? I'm like, damn, B. That's how you going to treat a fan? Nah, so we was at, I'm going to say this before I get up out of here. So we had some sparring going on at Joe Hand's gym. Actually, who the fuck was it? I think we had a guy by the name of Brandon Robinson. Uh, we had Brandon Robinson. I think he was sparring either Tyrone Brunson or Jesse Hart. So we came through for the work or whatever. And I think we had another fighter by the name of Rashid Johnson. He sparred Jerome Conquest, who was like this 135, 140 guy at the time. So they did that sparring. Joe Hangen was on Spring Garden. I think it was like on 3rd in Spring Garden. And I had to go to 17th in Spring Garden because I went to Community College in Philadelphia. So I had to take a bus from the gym to the college. You know what I mean? I had to be there at a certain time. It was early sparring. I think I had school like in the early afternoon. So I was like, damn, Bernard Hopkins really here. I seen B Hop a few times, but I never got the time to really watch him train or nothing like that. So he was about to jump rope. And I was like, yo, Pop, man, my pop was cool with B Hop. He's like, you think I get a picture with B Hop? He was like, yeah. So he came up to B Hop asking for the picture and shit like that. And B Hop was like, he's like, oh. You can tell like he didn't really want to take the picture. He was like, he said, do I gotta take the picture right now? Something like that. I'm like, damn, like for real? I think you just started jump roping. Like it's only gonna take you like 10 seconds to take a picture. Yeah, so he was an asshole. Besides that, everybody else I met was cool, honestly. Shay said, Mark, I got in a fight. I have 2 weeks notice, haven't been in the gym. I don't know if I should pull out or not. Not scared to fight, but I had personal problems and couldn't train. What you think? I don't think you should take the fight. You guys, Crown Jewel, he a trainer himself. If you ain't been in the gym and you only got 2 weeks to train for a fight, nah, I don't think you should do it. But mind you, I said B Hop the greatest fighter to ever come out of Philadelphia. I've been saying that. I would never take that away from him. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, he was an asshole. If you're not ready, you don't fight. That's a fact. All you doing is setting yourself up for failure, brother. All you doing is setting yourself up for failure. What do I tell my coach? Tell him what the fuck you just told us. Your coach shouldn't even put you in that situation if he know you ain't ready. You gotta make sure your coach is, and I'm not saying this your coach, but you gotta make sure your coach got your best interest, man. If your coach try and force you to get in the ring when you know you're not ready, you gotta question whether your coach got your best intentions or not. Tell him what you just told us, bro. You haven't been in the gym. That in itself should make your coach pull you out the fight. I just had to pull somebody out of the fight that we just had on Friday because he was on and off the gym for like 3 weeks, and I'm like, bro, I'm pulling you out, bro. And he had no choice but to respect it. Your coach shouldn't be okay with you fighting if you went in and out the gym anyway. You can't train, ain't no point in fighting. Yo, Crown Jewel, that shit was crazy. And that was the Crown Jewel. I'm gonna tell you something. That was the first time that I seen other officials come at an official for making a bad decision. Like I usually just see like the officials stand down and be like, you know what I mean? They just let the fans get that shit off their chest. That was the first time where I seen an official come at an official for making terrible calls. And they was actually arguing. The officials were arguing with each other. And the one John talking about, I've been an official for 15 years. Like, shorty, every time in your Crown Jewel, I don't know if you ever dealt with that official in particular. But, bro, she's historically made terrible calls. Like, calls that ruin fighters' chances of winning the fight. Like, fuck fighters over, like, bad. And, like, you said her husband got at her? Who her husband? Hold on, you telling me something new, brother. But bro, like I seen her officiate in Jersey. I seen her officiate in Philly. Every time I see her, I tell my fighters off the rip, I'm like, yo, you gotta be on point because she will take this fight from you. And like, some officials, they make bad calls sometimes, and it's like, all right, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody perfect, but she habitually does it. And like I seen her take a point. I seen her take a point for I didn't even know she had a husband. How the way she be talking. How the way she was talking to me, I'm like, you better go ahead, like you tripping. But not to get too personal, but man, she said some fly shit. And I'm like, man, like you probably the same age as my mother, yo. Cut it up. But yeah. So she was bugging, she was bugging, and I always tell my fight, I'm like, yo, there she go. I seen her one time in Jersey. The young bull held literally one time. This was in the first round, Crown Jewel. I'm telling you, he held one time. She was like, stop, you can't hold. Right? So then a few little moments later, they get into another John. The dude, the opposite bull is holding him. And the dude is like trying to punch while in the clinch. And she was like, stop. What did I tell you? 1 point. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo, what the fuck? He working in the clinch. You're supposed to work in the clinch. If you got a free hand, what are you doing? So she gave him a warning for holding, and then when he punched in the clinch, she took a point. What the fuck is he supposed to do? Bro, but it is what it is, bro. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. She definitely terrible. But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. Y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out. That'd be very much appreciated. Big thank you to everybody that made it possible for the channel to hit 3,200 subs. You know what I mean? If you appreciate the content, y'all go ahead and hit the like button on the way out. If y'all appreciate the boxing content overall, y'all can hit the subscribe button. We go live on a daily basis, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow to continue cooking up on what's going on in the sport of boxing. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.